Who is the greatest YouTuber? Now, some of you might have favorites over, certain people. My personal favorites, I'm not gonna name them, because, right, and I'm gonna be leaving someone out. There's always someone you forget about, right? But nobody will always say the same top three or top five, because, once again, it's more of a bias thing. You watch specific people, you have similar likes. You might like a game the same way that they do, or you might just like their personality. But would that really make them the best just because you relate to them the most? Or would creativity be better? You go down this infinite list of what makes, the greatest creator in general, but the greatest creator would always just say themselves. You would always have yourself at the highest standard. I mean, eventually, I hope that I'm in other talks saying, oh wow, Monks is the best at everything, right? Well, not everything, hopefully I'll get there. In my mind, I'm already there. Y'all can't see it, right? But eventually, I'll build the process and you'll start to catch on, slowly but surely. But what makes someone the greatest at YouTube? Is it their editing? Is it the things that they record? Is it just simply the way that they act? I mean, all these different things are definitely an account, but the best YouTuber would be the best content creator. You can go ahead and record, React, YouTubes, a bunch of people do that now. I might start doing that, I don't know yet. But that wouldn't make you the best. Yes, you can be the best at reacting, sure. You can be the funniest at reacting, sure, yeah. But the best YouTuber would be a creator. I still need to learn how to fully edit, learn a lot. If y'all got suggestions, please let me know. Like on what to watch or, what things to put my time in on, like what to focus on or whatever. I'm still learning a lot. But what would make, what would go ahead and separate the gap between, someone that's the greatest and someone that does the exact same thing? But the only thing is that, they don't have the same amount of followers. Yeah, someone could do it first. It's more just a race of subscribers, I guess. But that would even make you the best. Yeah, you'd be the best on the leaderboard. Mr. Beast has that spot right now, right? But would you say that Mr. Beast is the best YouTuber? You might not. I can't speak for you. You can't speak for me. Right, it's all about what's in your head. Objectively, we can't say the exact answer. Some people might have similar answers of, oh yeah, this person's it. Oh, well, this person's it because of this. And then, oh yeah, actually I agree. Yeah, you just remind me of someone that I forgot about. And that's truly the truth about it. Everyone's great in their own ways. There's no, I would say there's no such thing as being the greatest, when there is, but everyone will always have another argument for someone else. But why not argue yourself for that? Why not go ahead and see, okay, well, this person does this best. Okay, let's adapt that. This person does something else the best. Like, let's go ahead and talk in basketball terms, right? You go ahead and take longevity, you want LeBron, right? You take build, you might say LeBron, you might say KD, right? You take shooting, Steph, right? You go ahead and break down all these different attributes, same way that a streamer or a content creator or whatever you want to call, someone that posts on YouTube or whatever they identify with, I guess. They're just a YouTube poster. I don't know what you want to call everyone, right? But why not take all those different attributes, basically fixate into yourself, or learn off of it and make your own variant? Vanoss has one of the best editing, at least in my eyes, right? One of the most creative since I started watching him. I don't even remember when I started watching him. I literally can't even remember. I'm only 18, but he's probably one of the higher inspirations, right? You go ahead and break down all these different people and realize, wow, I could eventually do the exact same thing. The only thing stopping you is really yourself. Most of them, I can guarantee, didn't start with the most amount of money or the best following, or they probably weren't even the best of mindsets. They just had that drive to go ahead and start the same way that I'm hoping to eventually grow, kind of like a muscle, right? But most people, as I said, just made that first step. That first step will always be the hardest. You go ahead and eventually start walking, you keep walking, and then eventually it goes into a sprint, and then you might even start floating or doing whatever. I don't know, a lot of things can happen, right? But that's the whole point with YouTube. I'm not even sure if anyone will watch this the same way with any other video. Eventually, the world might see it. Oh, wow, hey, where'd the greatest YouTuber start? Oh shit, let's go to his first video. And they'll see this, right? Or I could just be completely delusional. We'll never know. Well, I guess we could know. But by the time that you know, I know, and then we know, it just keeps going down the chain, right? But that's the entire point. Someone has to be delusional about themselves. You can go ahead and take that exact same spot, the exact same way that anyone else did it, as long as you see yourself truthfully. Eventually you can start growing, start realizing, oh wow, hey, maybe I'm too, poor at this, or, I'm poorly at that, or whatever. But then, you start to grow. You're never a complete human. Even till the day that you're dying, you're never a complete human. You're always going to be learning. There's always a different method that you could do something better at, as long as you're asking the right people, right? If I were to be like, hey, how can I make more money? I wouldn't go to, a homeless person. No shame on homeless people. Shout out homeless people, I guess. But I wouldn't go to a homeless person on how to make your first million. I wouldn't go to someone that's just starting out on YouTube on, hey, how can I truthfully grow my fan base, or why I even have a fan base. Most of these videos, to be honest, might just be documentation of myself, for me to look back at, for, hopefully someone else to look back at. And if fan base comes along, hey, I'm all there for it. I'm not gonna sit there and constantly keep begging, oh, please, someone, please, and follow a trend or whatever. If people like me, they like me. If they don't, move on. If you want to post a comment on what I could work on, sure, go ahead, and I'll read it. I'll take everything to consideration. Now, it doesn't mean I'm gonna listen. Pretty ignorant. Well, at least right now, I'm pretty ignorant. But I'm open for learning. There's always something I can do better. Always, no matter what. There's always someone that I can learn off of. No matter if you're a 10-year-old child that knows nothing but how to color, right? You probably still teach me a lot about coloring. Or a crazy prodigy that knows how to play violin, or something random, right? You definitely teach me a lot about that. Or some random 65-year-old retired sitting there and just contemplating on life. Yet that's probably the densest moment of just straight wisdom. You can go ahead and contemplate on yourself and realize, hey, I could have done this differently. I could have done that differently. Okay, well, I can't change any of it, so how about I just live with it? And that's the whole truth about reality. You can go ahead and want to change all these different things that happened in the past, but how about you work off of it? Same way with me. I can't change anything that happened in my past. Oh well, you move on. Now, I'm not saying completely ignore it. Sometimes you have to sit there and live with the consequences. Actually, most of the time you do. Actually, I guess all the time you do. But sometimes you do just have to move on. And that's what I'm trying to do now. It's what hopefully you're eventually trying to do, or whoever's trying to do. One bad thing isn't completely define your entire life. Eventually you can grow. Eventually, something else can change. Eventually a new mindset comes. A lot of new things happen. Because that's the best thing, is something that's new. Now, of course, safety and being comfortable in the same exact spot, hey, that's nice. Props to you for doing that. I mean, I was doing that for the longest time. I was just repeating the same exact cycles, just delaying this process of posting, my first ever video. But why? Tyler Creator, right? I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was asking some people, why don't you create, or something along those lines, and the girl just said, well, because I'm scared. And then he asked, well, why? And her response was, I don't know. Most people don't even know what they're scared of, because it's all in their head. You go ahead and try to do something, and that small little gust of wind of self-doubt, or whatever you want to call it, it's still doubt, but you have this small little self-doubt of, well, maybe that's not for me. Well, how do you make it for you? You want to do it, right? I want to post. You want to do whatever you want to do, right? How about you just do it? You're going to have all this self-doubt of, well, this could happen. That's part of the process. Fall in love with the process. Yes, of course, have your goals or whatever. Never lower your ceiling, ever. If this video only gets, one viewer, and that might just be myself, right? Oh well, move on. Learn off of it. Go ahead and find something new that you can do, or something that, you still want to do. Make sure that's always something you want to do. But change. Grow. That's one thing you should always try to do. Adapt. You should always adapt. But that's something you always want to do. You should always want to find something new, or something creative, or, I can go ahead and list all these different words, whatever. But you should always want to grow. That's one thing that you should always want to do. That's especially what I'm trying to do. I can go ahead and watch all these YouTube videos that I want about self-growth, or ask all these different people, hey, how can I, make myself better? But just consuming won't do you any good. Sometimes you have to make action. Actually, a lot of times you have to take action. You want to go ahead and get buff, right? Or just get fit. You gotta take action. You can't just sit there watching self-improvement videos on, hey, how can I gain 20 pounds, or lose 20 pounds, or do whatever. You gotta take action. Same way with, how can I be more entertaining? How can I, get better for this job? Or how can I, do whatever in your life? Yes, of course, always ask for advice. But never just sit there on that advice and not take advantage of it while you can. Don't ever think, oh, hey, there's a perfect moment for me to do this. Now, sometimes there might be an absolute perfect moment, but most of the time, that perfect moment will never come. You're just delaying yourself. Most of the time, you're always delaying yourself. Just because your old self doesn't want to move on, doesn't want to see what's over the hill, when over the hill could be a whole paradise, and you just don't know it. You just won't take that first step. Same with me. I've done it multiple times. I always try to be comfortable in the position that I'm in. And yes, comfort's amazing, but sometimes you have to be uncomfortable just for you to truly get what you want. And going off of what I was saying earlier, never lower the ceiling, but sometimes lower your floor. Make that gap, a little bit larger, yes, but don't always expect the most out of your first attempt. And then you go ahead and not do anything because, oh, well, this didn't work out. Oh, well, learn from it, move on. If you want 10 views a day, go out and keep posting until you get those 10 views. If you want, just overall self-improvement, don't go ahead and see, hey, one day passes, oh, I'm still the same me. Well, of course you're still the same you. It's been one day. Yes, you have all the other perspectives that you want, but sometimes you just need to sit there in silence. Look at yourself. Look into yourself. Start asking, hey, truly, who am I? Without all the noise, without all the different variants of perception upon you or whatever. Start asking yourself, truly, who am I? Once you figure out who you are, okay, well then now start asking, well, how people perceive me. If the two things are completely different, go ahead and see it. Okay, well, how can I make people perceive me differently? And you just keep growing. It's a never-ending process. I'm not even anywhere close. I don't have the amount of experience that other people do, but why even complain? Like I said, it's a never-ending process. Always learn to grow. Peace.